let's talk about the Poor People's Campaign for a hot minute, because I know you're in DC right now. I reached out to Nick Brana, head of Movement for a People's Party. I know he got arrested. I reached out to him yesterday and heard back from him early this morning, and we actually talked about some of the stuff he said on Aggressive Progressives earlier today. But let's hear your perspective. Have you been privy to anything that's going on? Have you been in the thick of anything, or what's been your exposure so far?
No, I haven't been at this protest. I've been at many protests, but I'm kind of drowning in all my work and everything, getting ready for this special and stuff. But I do think it's wonderful. It's supposed to be 40 days long. It's about the exploitation of poor people in this country, and it's only getting worse. And every subject, everything you think you care about is connected under this unfettered capitalist beating down of the poor and middle class, and that comes back to race issues as well. And so I think it's wonderful that people are standing up about this issue. And I'm good friends with Nick. He's an amazing person. I think what he's trying to do with the People's Party is pretty impressive. And, try to get out of this two-party corporate duopoly that owns everything and agrees on 80%, 90% of all the structural issues of this country. When you have two parties that agree on 90% of everything that controls our lives, and then they have the 10% that they spend all day bickering over, you don't really have two parties. You have a slight difference of opinion of one party. So I love that Nick's trying to break out of that. A lot of important stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, what do you think? I mean, last question. What do you think is what do you think the way forward is going to be in a broad sense? Because the way I see it, and one of the things we talk about on this show, Get Your News On with Ron in particular, is we have all kinds of discussions over and over again, and there's people making good points from all sides of it, where Green entering versus Dem exiting versus Dem entering versus Movement for a People's Party versus just picking a cause and kind of rallying to the thing. Because I feel like it's good that people are working on all kinds of different things, doing all kinds of different things. I think that's great. But on the same note, the movement for change, for real change, is only so big right now. That's just the reality. And it seems like we sort of have to channel the energy towards a specific goal if we want any kind of, significant long-term progress. And I don't know exactly how that's going to look, but I know it kind of needs to happen. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I think that if you try and change everything at once, you're going to quickly burn out.
Sure.
I think people have to find their passion of activism and really focus on that, but also realize that most of these things are interconnected. So if your passion is to end factory farming, then I'd say become hyper-informed on that, become, very active on it, find out, the groups to join up with and what you're doing and why, and become active on that topic, and you'll be the most informed on it because you're so passionate about it. But then at the same time, also realize that, guess what? The anti-war movement and the Stop Factory Farming movement both come under the umbrella of unfettered capitalist market economy that puts profit above, torturing animals. Yeah, if it makes us a buck, then sure, torture them. It puts profit above war every minute. Yeah, if war gets us dollars, then let's do it. So you should join it. All these activists should join up at the same time. Like, maybe factory farming is your passion, but you can also show up at the anti-war protest, because this is all related. And I think if you were to add up all of those things, every different movement that is connected in this way, you would have millions of people in the streets on all these things. We have to be careful not to get too splintered. And then in terms of the party conversation, I do believe we've got to keep talking about breaking up this two-party show that means nothing. But I don't have a lot of hope that, like, tomorrow some independent party is going to get, 51% of the vote or whatever. That doesn't mean I don't support these candidates. I had Shahid Buttar on this week, Redacted Tonight. He's running against Nancy Pelosi. And, I do think these outside voices should be heard and should fight to get elected and all that stuff. But I think at the same time, we need to realize that the levers of the state have been taken over by the corporate entities, and the change that will happen at the electoral level federally is going to be very small. The change that can happen locally and statewide and on smaller issues, or not even smaller issues, but just more localized issues, can be quite large. And those things, those smaller things matter. And so I think they can spawn, they can grow and bloom and infect other things. So, you know, focus and get active in your community.
Yeah. And to just draw it back to the Poor People's Campaign real quick. Poor People's Campaign, I think, is doing a really good job making these connections. You know, there were some criticisms out there saying, oh, there's so many things that they're addressing, and it's almost like they're spreading themselves too thin. It's like, well, no, they're seeing connections between all these issues, which is essential for all of us to do. And that's something that Martin Luther King really started harping on right before he died. So they really are picking up that torch and running with it, which is really beautiful to see.
Yeah, getting a mass poor people's movement and questioning capitalism and questioning Vietnam did not turn out well for Martin Luther King in those final couple years.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. That was a clip from Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means I log on to a stream and people tweet me articles over on Twitter at Ron Placone, or they use our Reddit subsection, which is just Get Your News On with Ron over on Reddit. And that's how we build the show. I'm seeing all these articles for the first time. We are literally getting our news on together. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone so you can participate. And this show streams live every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please do tune in. If you want to support this show, you can do so over on patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as low as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts every week, exclusive videos, free tickets to shows when I'm performing in your town, and more for as low as $1 a month. Please do consider it. Thank you so much for your support. This has been Get Your News On with Ron.